Hello and welcome to a Warframe video. In this video I wanted to showcase Loki, which I also got recently, with the unvaulting of, well, the biggest unvaulting ever in Warframe. And, well, Loki actually marks the very last Warframe that I needed to complete the collection. So if I go here, you'll actually see that literally, like, Loki is the last person, and I have, aside from these guys, which I have never touched because I have their prime versions before I acquired the regular ones, I pretty much have most of the Warframes already maxed out, and I also own most of them. Now with Loki Prime, I own pretty much, the only Warframe that I don't own is Wukong, basically. And I don't really own him because there are so many frames that are better than him. I mean, sure, he has a pretty cool looking skin, but that's not gonna make me acquire a Warframe, because that's gonna require some Warframe slots, and I want to save up some platinum for Korra when she makes her debut, and she's gonna be amazing. At least I'm hoping she's going to be. Not looking for that balancing. Okay, screw this. Cut this up. Hang on a second. Let me just do this because it makes sense. You stop, because until I unlock many of these things and have them playing a variety of them, this is just going to repeat over and over and over and over and over, and it gets really annoying. Honestly, I can hear a lot more things in Spotify than I can there. I'm kind of disappointed about the summer court. It's just background music of some of the levels. Really, I thought it was going to be like, I don't know, like parodies of Warframe or something. That would be a lot cooler. It'd be like a tribute to the artist as well as Warframe itself. That would have been way cooler, the way I see it. Unfortunately, no. So anyways, back to Loki. So, well, Loki Prime is actually a very good Warframe, and I mean, he's also kind of old. He's one of the oldest Warframes that you can play as. In the very beginning, like literally, he's also in the very covers of Warframe. Like when you see like a Warframe picture or something, like he's there. He's basically there. He also has a lot of mods that you can actually play a lot with. If I go here to the mods, and I go here, I acquired Hushed Invisibility because it kind of comes in handy. This is actually very useful if you want to be invisible and use weapons that actually don't have Hush on them, that are not silent, because it actually makes it so that they don't do any noise when you're invisible, which is awesome. Savior Decoy, I don't really do this because it's kind of, I guess, with Savior Decoy, this is literally kind of like having a, I don't know, it's kind of like having a Wukong, because the way Wukong works is that when you have his ability activated and he takes fatal damage, he instead doesn't die, he instead just recovers health. And this, basically, what this does is when you use your decoy, or decoy, or whatever, if you take fatal damage, then the decoy will basically absorb the damage and swap locations with you. Which is interesting because that means you can just cast decoy someplace, I don't know, someplace away from enemies, go into the thick and thin of enemies, and if you do die, the decoy will just switch between you and save you. So I don't know how is that exactly, like, that's literally like if you want to build like a Loki that can't be killed easily, just build like a decoy, like just use the Savior Decoy. I mean, sure. And then there is the irradiating disarm, which will cause enemies who have been disarmed to basically also be radiated, which is actually pretty useful, actually, since they'll basically start fighting each other. So you basically disarm your enemies, and you also just watch them fight at a distance, just killing themselves there. I do want to test it out at some point, but there's just so much things that you can, there's so many applications that you can do with Loki. Although I have to admit, among the Warframes, he does require a little bit of a buff, because he's currently like one of those frames where he really doesn't have that much attention, and I very rarely see any Lokis. Literally the only people who touch Loki are the people who do like survivals, not survivals, spies. And even then, that you'll barely ever see him, because Ivara does that job a lot better, because she can stay invisible for a longer duration. As you see into my abilities, if I go passive over here, you can see that by default, even at maxed rank, Loki can only stay invisible for 12 seconds. And with the build that I have, he still only can be invisible for 24.84 seconds. like almost 25 seconds. Unlike Ivara, who can stay invisible for as long as you have energy, which is a lot better. So, plus his passive is kind of useless, like hanging from walls. Whoever does that, like, he really needs a rework. The way I see it is that Loki really desperately needs a rework. They don't need to touch his radial disarm. That's actually a pretty good ability. Switching teleport may, I don't know, if you could actually switch teleport with your decoy without having to look at it, like literally you place the decoy and then press the switch teleport and then just simply switch between them, no matter where they are, even if you're not looking at them, that would be actually very beneficial, especially if you have the savior decoy. That actually would be pretty cool. So, and his invisibility could definitely use a little bit of a buff. I mean, considering that we have Ivara who can switch back and forth between invisibility, we have Ash who, with the proper build, you can stay pretty much invisible with his smoke screen all the time, and plus you can insta kill things with fatal teleport and covert lethality. So, I think Loki is one of those frames that could really use a buff. But anyways, when it comes to Loki Prime, the way I have him built is I use, I use the Lex Prime and the Glaive mostly because I really like these two combos. I've been waiting for a long time to acquire the Glaive Prime so I can use the combo, but that doesn't matter. My primary weapon, which is the Buzza, which is our one of the latest submachine guns, which is also silent by default, is amazing for Loki. I really like using this thing with Loki. In case, just for reference, this is the build that I use for, is a critical build. With a little bit of, I guess, I didn't even know it actually had, corrosive in it. I mean, it's a plus. Corrosive pretty much works very decently into most enemies. So I mean, sure, why not? And as for Loki's actual build, I'm using a bit of a combination. So you don't really need strength with Loki. Literally, he has no need for strength due to the fact that, well, his abilities are mostly focused on, I guess, stealth rather than dealing damage. And even though his fourth power for some reason has damage on it, I mean it disarms them, the damage is kind of useless. It's already kind of low. It's like 500 damage, so it's kind of low anyways. So yeah, might as well just go for that full just for the disarm itself and just, you know, go for that range, because right now my range is actually a lot better. It's actually, you can actually see that my range is a lot better. So I haven't overextended. I have I'm using Prime Continuity, Ogre Message, and Constitution for that duration. And you can actually see I have 207% duration. So I have like more than double the duration that you would normally have with a Loki. And I don't even have Narrow-Minded, but even with Narrow-Minded, I only get like what, 35 seconds of invisibility. And I get that duration. I basically sacrifice Narrow-Minded because I do want that radial disarm. Radial disarm is actually a very good thing to have. And I also have Redirection and Vitality because I do want some survivability. Seeing as how he has the lowest stats among all the frames, literally, both in armor and everything. And I mean, Neza is very close to him with actually having low stats, but this guy, unlike Neza, who has a halo, which is kind of the warding halo, which kind of gives Neza kind of like an iron skin, kind of like Rhino's iron skin. Yeah, Loki doesn't have any of that. I guess he can become invisible, so it's okay. And yeah, so I do want to have those. And Loki Prime himself comes with the polarity for Redirection and Vitality anyways, so yeah, why wouldn't I, put that? And as you can see, he's unpolarized completely. He's like blank. I only have a reactor on him. And with Redirection, Vitality, and Primed Continuity, which is, they're all maxed out, you can actually see I still have like 11 capacity. So yeah. Oh, and there's also this thing as well, which is kind of works out, I guess. I kind of had it for Rush because I do love moving fast. Loki does have the fastest speed, or base default speed, beaten only by Nova Prime, or Nova in general, because of her also fast moving speed. And on top of that, she can also use the wormhole to basically teleport from locations. But when it comes to movement speed, Loki has pretty much the highest movement speed of them all. So yeah. I'm using the Buzzer, so I'm using Carrier Prime for his ammo box because you literally piss ammunition when you're using the Buzzer, so because it's a full automatic weapon. And yeah, I'm just gonna do a very basic survival just to show that he is decently, he is at a decent, like, what am I doing? That he's at a decent, like, survivability. So I'm just gonna go to the void, gonna do mod, just a regular survival, just a regular 5 minutes just to show him off, just to showcase him. I don't remember, I think Mott is like level 40 to 45 or something, which is kind of like, I guess, like what? I guess that's like, I mean, even in Cetus, like enemies are like level 50 to 60 or something, but Loki would be very, very useful. I would actually definitely run with a Loki in a group of Cetus people for the sole purpose of basically using a sniper, becoming invisible, using decoy, and then using a sniper. And when they're all the enemies are like bunched up together, when you're trying to defend something, just use radial disarm. That would be amazing. Also, on top of that, I also want. You'll actually notice that I only have like 262 energy. I could have used primed flow. I guess if I'm going for like an invisibility build, I can just, I can sacrifice the range of radial disarm and just add. Just go like, just at least use a lot of powers and stuff. But I do have narrow-minded, so I can just acquire energy for days. Plus, I'm in the void. So these traps over here will basically give me they will give me whatchamacallit, energy. Plus, enemies do drop energy over here. I need a good place where I can hoard them. What was that noise? It was a weird noise. So, as you can tell, being invisible is a win-win. Also, putting decoy there just to distract enemies so that they are not always blank. They come to me. Why am I always... Well, every time I record, I'm always bad at shooting. But anyways, so yeah, I mean, they literally have no idea what's hitting them. And yeah, so... I mean, with a good build, you can pretty much do very decently. Also, wait for that, like, if you place your... oh, hello. When did that... Decoy, please. I could also add natural talent to basically increase the casting speed of my abilities, which would be very beneficial. So, yeah, it's either I could go with a flow to give me more energy, which, as you can see, I'm not really consuming that much energy, so it's kind of useless. Or I could just go for natural talent, which will give me a load of... which will give me a lot faster casting speeds, which means I can become invisible faster, I can disarm enemies faster. As you can see here, if I use my radial disarm, it has a decent range, but at the same time, it's like... it has that casting speed where he does that little spinny thingy. Before actually casting it, so yeah. I guess it's kind of useful. It's actually very useful to strategically like use your decoy right before you become visible. That way, enemies don't get that cheap shot. AIs are very effective at using their well, at aiming at you. As soon as you become visible, they will aim right into your face. So, just choosing to use decoy right there before becoming invisible, and to switch invisibility again, just to become invisible again, is actually just useful, because you'll actually notice that my decoy literally gets wrecked. If I use decoy right now, like, he gets one-shotted instantly, so he's not really good for like distracting enemies that much. He's mostly good for just, giving you that small breather of survivability. Plus, with the low health and low stats, literally, if you don't have a redirection or redirection and vitality, like, you will get one-shotted instantly. Like, it's not even like it's granted, you will get one-shotted. So, I guess what I could do is I could do a radial disarm build and then use the like, I could use radial disarm with its augment and just have them just go around all over the place, nuking people with radial disarm. and having them just fight each other, literally, that would be beneficial. It's kind of like having a Nyx in my team, a Nyx who also disarms enemies, I guess, in a way. I guess I could do that, but you know, I guess I'll save that for like, you know, another point, maybe another video. If you want me to like make a build for like Loki, where I can just disarm people at will, like nuke them with disarming and then have them fight each other, I mean, I'm willing to do that. Although you can pretty much get what I'm going for with just, you know, listening to me. Let's use this. I definitely need, if I'm going to use disarm for like, you know, a decent for decent survivability, then obviously we're going for like maximum efficiency. I'm definitely going to need flow, and I'm also going to need like a lot of range, so overextended is a must. It reduces my strength, but that's okay, that's because strength doesn't really matter that much. And I guess what I can do is I could also use. Okay, so I definitely need natural talent for that. But the thing is, I already have like, it would require me polarizing Loki, because he already has that thing, that already polarized slot for his status and stuff. So you know, I don't really know. I guess I could do that, but anyways, I forgot about life support. I don't have that many enemies, unfortunately, but you can actually get a very basic idea how it would work. Like how having a... Let me just do this. I did not mean to put him that close to me. Whoops. So yeah, I think Loki is definitely in need of a desperate rework, or at least a little bit of a buff, because his abilities are not in par with like any of the other frames currently that we're going to be having. So I definitely think that it would be beneficial to actually have him a little bit buffed, just a little bit increase that timer, maybe use the switch, like make an argument for the switch teleport and stuff. But yeah, this is basically how I would play with like Loki, basically. And if I'm with my team, obviously staying invisible. Literally, you just stay invisible. That's all you have to do. So I guess it does benefit because of the invisibility. The way that I'm looking at it right now, not that I actually have a clear understanding of like using a solo, because I'm not a Loki main, and I literally only got Loki to max him out. Then I removed him, and I waited because I didn't want to acquire Loki until, you know, maybe until the unvaulting. As soon as I heard about the unvaulting and that Prime Loki was going to be in it, it benefited perfectly. So what I could be doing, another build that I could use. So if I go to config number 2 over here, and I can go over here, obviously I'm going to use energy siphon because I definitely want that extra energy. I could go with corrosive projection, but I kind of like having, actually now that I think about it, since I do have Zenuric as my, hang on, let me just remove that. Okay, so since I have Zenuric, I can pretty much just keep on regenerating myself over and over and over, so I guess that works out. So I definitely want prime continuity, maybe a low-level flow, just a low-level one. I could also put, okay, this is where the strategy happens. I definitely need a lot of efficiency. So, oh, hang on a second. That means I'm going to need fleeting expertise. So if I go to fleeting expertise, here, put that there. It's a little bit lower than that, so we'll go over here. So now I have that extra efficiency, which means that my abilities shouldn't cost that much. Literally, yeah, invisibility only costs 13 to cast, so that's pretty good. Radial disarm, 25 energy, that's like amazing for a radial disarm, so that would be amazing for it. And I can definitely spam like disarm as much as I want. And then moving forward, now this is where I would normally use things that would counter that would actually counter like my I definitely need duration. I definitely could also use, okay, overextended. I definitely could use some shield, maybe just add that redirection for that shield, and I could sacrifice some health because the idea is to not get hit. So I could sacrifice that health for overextended over here, and then get some stretch for that extra range. So now I can basically nuke enemies at a distance over and over with my abilities. And if I actually had, I still have like 15 capacity. So if actually I literally could add, I could sacrifice my shield, and I could add the other augment, which is the augment for Loki's fourth power. You know what? Let's just go do it. Let's go buy it, because why not? So here we go. And irradiating disarm, because why not? So this could definitely be an interesting build. I also want to check. Okay, unfortunately I don't have the time to actually display it, but I mean you can get the idea of how this might actually work. So if I do this, I do have a lot of time, so if I do this, then I need to max this thing out. Radiating disarm. It maxes out perfectly, and yeah, even though I lose my health and shield, so I have the radial disarm now. I still have 11 capacity left, and I only get 14 duration on invisibility. Of course, that's already higher than the regular duration you would normally get, which is why I really encouraged a buff on Loki's invisibility. 13 only costs 13, and with my Zenoric I can literally just, you know, have maximum energy. And radial disarm, which obviously has an enormous range now. It has like double the range. I do want. Oh man, there's so many things that I could do if I could. Like, you know, I definitely could add natural talent to basically give myself some more. To make it faster, to radial disarm fast. You know what? How about we just do it? I do have the thing, so might as well just do it. There we go. I do suffer when it comes to like duration. So my duration is only like what? Wait, what? Why is it? Oh, is that a glitch? It has to be a glitch, because I'm minus 5% duration, and for some reason it shows that my duration is... Yeah, that's a glitch, unfortunately. It's an unfortunate glitch. That would be awesome though. So yeah, if I could do this, then I'm basically like, this would be my radial disarm build right now. Literally nuking my enemies with radial disarm and also irradiating them to basically fight each other, because that would be awesome. I don't have, actually I have just enough to put prime flow there. Oh my god, look at that energy. So literally I'm going around like I'm basically an invisible Nyx, going around and forcing enemies to fight, and I'm also disarming enemies at the same time, so that could be interesting. So yeah, I don't have the time to actually test this build out, but I guess you can test it out for yourselves. Loki does have a lot of applications, and you can play with him a lot, and many options for him, but I do really believe that he could definitely use a buff, especially with like all the buffs and nerfs that are coming. I think he could definitely be useful to be next, because I don't really see many people running with him, except for doing spies, like, I don't know, when they don't have Ivara, I guess. I mean, the only reason you would use Loki for a spy is to literally farm Ivara and then replace Loki with Ivara. Which is unfortunate, because he's actually a very good, very well balanced frame who could definitely use some love. That said, I'd like to thank you for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Stay cool, and I'll see you later. Bye!